If you only knew the power of the dark side.
2, 1, 0.
Hi guys, it's Michael Burhan again, and as promised I'm keeping up with the political vlogs and I'm coming back with a couple of new shows as well. I'm feeling a lot better from the last one that I posted. Yeah, that was a bit of a mess up, but the point of view was being put across, and it was a question that I really wanted to ask you guys. Haven't had many replies yet, but you know what they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. Now, I wanted to talk about something rather quickly, and it's about something that I think of a mentality that we tend to have, in a sense, in terms of the UK, and it, you know, in terms of all over the world as well at the same time, because I was having two rather varied conversations with two different individuals quite recently. One of them was a good friend that who has his own gaming channel. I'm not going to promote him here or promote any of his views because he might not want me to actually put that forward. Another one was my business partner, Mr. Ash Sharma. Most of you would know him as Jimmy Choo from This Job for Hire. And we all three of us had a very different opinion on how the system works. I think Mr. Sharma, his opinion in terms of how the system works is there's got to be leeway for both sides. He tries to be the kind of middle guy and sees both point of views. Whereas the other friend that I was talking to, he kind of has a sort of a varied opinion as well, but I think he's rather old school because he remembers the Labour-led UK. He's from the UK, but he lives in another country now. And they were both talking about scroungers, about career benefit holders, basically. And I touched on this in my last video. And it kind of poses a question that I'm going to ask you guys in a second. They were going on about the fact that these guys, that career benefit people, they have benefits all the time, they don't do anything, they live their lives, in a sense, to claim off the dole. That's all they do. Nothing else, just claim off the dole. And that the dole can be a very easy route out. You know, you don't have to really spend money on anything, you can live off of it. And I want to basically put my own point of view across on this because I think that it's kind of a crock. Now, I'm going to go on sort of statistics that were published in a recent article. The story came from like newspapers such as the Metro, but the site I'm going to promote it is called scriptonitdaily.com, and it's kind of a site that's used to make a difference. Now, statistically, they don't know actually that 0.7% of our country are actually, you know, of benefits is a problem. 0.7%. That's the amount for benefit fraud. And the claims of benefit fraud have been about 1.2 billion in terms of what we as a country have been investigated under. Now, the shocking thing is tax fraud is actually between 30 billion to 100 billion a year. That includes large corporations and individuals who basically dodge the tax man. Now, this is a problem. I'm going to put that out there, and that is the problem that we should be firing and looking at our focus on. And we've been having meetings that have been going nowhere, in a sense. You know, the Conservative government have been putting people on trial, asking Starbucks and Amazon if they've, you know, why they're not paying taxes and why they're using it on business expansion instead. And no one really justified anything. There was no published reports about this. They just let it fly. So they've wasted taxpayers' money on these little tribunal hearings that led to nothing. And yet we kind of take a stance at having a go at people and tarring and feathering people under the same brush. It's literally, let's hang everyone, you know, because you've got a couple of people who are messing with the system. These people are being caught. And now we've had the story that broke recently about the individual who was collecting benefits and was also begging on the streets as well at the same time. That's him. He goes to the pub, he drinks, he's got his own vices and stuff. He was caught. But yet there are so many people who are being placed under the same banner who are being abused by the general public, and that's you, that's me, that's everybody else. And if you're one of those people that do that, I would like you guys to actually take a look in the mirror and think to yourself, hey, maybe I'm a fucking dick, and maybe I need to really reevaluate my life, because as far as I'm concerned, no one should be getting any prejudice or malice from anybody. So do me a favour and sort that out, because that's ridiculous. Now, we do get a lot of heat as well. People who are basically making the matters worse are companies like the BBC, Channel 4, not the companies in general, but the shows that they are putting on to glorify this. And a lot of it is because of the fact that it's become a huge heat political issue, and because they're channels that want to get ratings, they feed this, they feed the venom and the hate through shows such as Benefit Street, which has garnered a lot of controversy. And thank God for decent people out there, they've actually complained about this, because they don't believe it's a true depiction of the way life is on the streets. And I'm going to go into this in a little bit, because I'm going to lead it on, sort of segue it onto my own series of interviews that I'm going to have with people on JSA and people who are homeless. Now, what I'm trying to do is I want to interview these people, try and get this point across, and see another sort of ideology in a sense, and another side to all of this, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm getting sick of it. I'm getting sick of the way people are kind of vilified in this country because they aren't able to work, because they've got an illness, because they have something that's a bit of a problem. And I have a family member who's got these issues at the moment, who's unable to work, and he's on ESA and gets treated like the biggest piece of shit on the planet because of this. And it's kind of getting sickening, to a sense, how he gets treated by those who work in the benefits office, and kind of gets brushed aside because he's seen as another figure, and that's wrong. Now, these shows anyway, they keep on vilifying people, they keep pushing the negative tone because it's entertainment. This is what these networks want to do because it sells. So it's not their fault in a sense, it's what we want to see. We, being people, want to see this sort of thing. They want to see people vilified. It's what the government are trying to put out as their message. Everybody's a scrounger. Now, I want to segue back to the story that I talked about previously, where Jeremy Hunt and David Cameron want to cut benefits for the elderly, and they want to cut benefits altogether. They want to cut the system down. They're going to make more cuts to the benefit system to get people into that environment and push that environment as much as they can to get people working, because apparently if we're not all at a job, if we're all claiming benefits, then we're the worst scum of the earth. So says Mr. Cameron. And this is a problem. This is a problem to me, and I find that it's disgraceful the way that people have been treated. I'm going to toss aside and talk about this one little story before I finish this video, and talk to you guys again. And I'm going to leave a question for you as well. It's based on the fact that a Jobcentre worker went on a Facebook rant because an individual found her on Facebook who was claiming job seekers allowance. He's a father of 3. I don't know the full story about this. I don't know what he said to her to make her act out in the way that she did, but she was suspended from her position because of it. She stated, after they had a very heated discussion on Facebook to this individual, that he should either go get a fucking job or go fucking hang himself. I've been part of that system, and you can be very, very low. It leaves you depressed, especially the way that people have treated you, because I have been treated like scum. Especially the fact that I was on that system with my firstborn child. And I can tell you something, they say very nasty things to you. The housing shelter, I was in a homeless shelter, I was out on the streets with my family, because we were removed from the property that we were living in, and I was called everything under the sun, stating that I wasn't a good father, that I was a disgrace, that I should be, I shouldn't be proud of myself because I have left my partner and my child in that position, and it wasn't pretty. We were left in a hostel full of roaches. a bath that someone had thrown up in, and we stayed in there until eventually, you know, our marriage was strained. You know, we got to the point where she kind of moved on with her life. She now lives in a place, looks after the kids, and I see my kids in my one bedroom. I would call it a flat, but it's a one bedroom hostel that I pay for myself, my own money. You know, I'm not, as most of you would say, scrounging. But it boggles the mind, you know, to me, how people can vilify an individual like that. And this is what this guy has done. He's obviously had enough. He went about it the wrong way, because you never really should be going on Facebook and personally attacking someone. But she then said that statement, which to anybody, he probably would have killed himself, because he obviously feels like a failure because he's on the benefit system with his family. No person wants to be living off of someone else and raising their kids at the same time, but we don't understand the full scope of the situation, and none of these guys really do. They don't take the time to sit down and talk to you, especially now that everything's been scaled back, and it's hurtful. Now, we have these certain elements that are going on. We have tax evasion, which is up 100 times to these dodgy benefit claimants and these career benefit thieves. And most of them, I will put out there, kind of claim 2 different paychecks at the same time, use false names. We don't know the scope of these things because the government don't actually let us know the full story. They'll let us know little bits. And that's not just the Conservatives, that's the Labour government, that's the Lib Dems, that's whoever else is in power, because they're never honest with us. Yeah, the government used to be for the people, it's now for themselves. And again, I just want to highlight the fact that you have all these people claiming expensive second homes, you know, what with you, and people are being attacked verbally, physically, just because they need to live. And I want to put out the fact that people do need to live. So if you like me, you hate me, whatever you want to justify, if you disagree with my opinion, please leave a comment at the bottom here. But it's become a very sad fact how we are in a society that tends to judge others without judging ourselves first. If you're in a bad situation, and I want to put this out to anyone out there who is, pick yourselves up, be positive, and know that tomorrow is another day. If you're working your ass off and you can't buy yourself a flat, it's not the guy on benefits' problem that you can't afford it. That's inflation. He's got nothing to do with it. The fact that bank lenders, the people who've been fast and loose with people's money, are getting away with basically taking government cash without actually paying the taxpayer anything from it, that should boggle your mind. We are in a society where we lay blame on one another instead of actually working together to resolve these problems. And the only way we can resolve these problems is not by taking food out of these people's mouths or taking food out of their children's mouths because they're down on their luck. We should be working with them to help. If you love this country, if you think I'm anti-UK, maybe you need to start listening to what I'm saying. If you love this country, let's work together to make it the best damn country that we can do. If you love everything about the UK, maybe we need to start asking questions and say, hey, let's not take away from the elderly, from the people in need. Let's find these assholes and let's take away from them. Let's find those people, instead of tarring everybody who's a hard worker and comes around from other countries to this country to work. Let's look at the ones who are abusing the system and say those guys need to go, not vilify everybody. And that's the problem. We're becoming such a blame culture where we're vilifying everyone now. And I think it's time to listen to people's stories. It's time to find out who these people are and find out what they're going through, because it's not pretty. And I myself, and I have to admit, I nearly faced suicide because of the way I was treated by the system. Wake up, London. It's time to do something about this. And it's time for us to focus on bringing ourselves together and combining our efforts so that this doesn't happen to anybody else. I'm Michael Burhan, and if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. If you don't, well, give me a dislike, as always. And remember, this is just an opinion. Like yours, like anyone else out there. If you want to state an opinion, if you think I'm wrong, leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you.